One morning you wake up and something is wrong. Your balance slips, your hands feel weak and your thoughts feel slower than they should. You brush it off as age, but the fear is real because your body feels heavier, as if something inside is struggling. This is how strokes begin: quiet, sudden, and easy to miss until it is too late. But today's episode could change that. We're going to share 8 habits that help protect your brain from stroke. Simple daily choices that keep your blood flowing, your mind clear, and your independence strong. Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast, where East meets West to help you stay healthy through every season of life. Now hear me out. A major review from the American Stroke Association found that nearly 80% of strokes can be prevented, not with surgery or supplements, but with everyday routines. Yet most seniors have no idea where to begin, and that's what makes this episode so urgent. So to help us understand what really works, we're joined again by a man who has lived these truths for over a century. He's treated patients for decades. He still walks, still teaches, still serves, and today he's here to share what the rest of us need to hear. Welcome back, Doctor. Every senior I know needs this conversation.
Thank you, John. Yes, most people still believe strokes strike without warning, but many can be prevented. The habits we repeat each day shape the rhythm of our blood, and after 60, that rhythm is fragile. The wrong patterns raise risk, but the right ones protect the brain.
That's such an important shift. So many seniors feel confused. They eat well, they stay active, but something still feels off: their balance, their energy, and they quietly wonder, is this just aging?
And it is not. It's miscommunication in the body. I've seen this for decades. Circulation slows. The brain signals weaken, but no one teaches people to recognize it. That's why today I'll share 8 daily habits that help reduce stroke risk. And these are simple changes anyone can make if they know what to look for.
That reminds me of a patient. He was healthy and careful, but one morning he woke up with a slurred voice and weakness on one side. A mild stroke. And the cause? A simple routine he had overlooked for years.
I've seen that story many times. People doing everything right, yet still at risk. Not because they failed, but because one small habit was missing. The brain depends on steady circulation. When it falters, trouble begins.
And that's why this episode matters. But before we start, I want to give a quick heads up to our Black Friday sale of the Senior Health Guide series. 8 guides in total: osteoporosis, hair loss, skin care, diabetes, sleep, stroke, vision, memory support, and 2 bundles in which we packed all of them to make it even cheaper for you. Get yours now in our shop for up to 40% discount.
I finally understand my sleep problem thanks to this guide. It has completely changed how I sleep, and I am so excited for the future.
Now let's begin. What is the first habit we are discussing today from your stroke prevention list?
The first habit is managing blood pressure every day. Nothing raises stroke risk faster or more silently. When pressure climbs too high, the brain's blood vessels stretch beyond their limits. Over time, they begin to weaken, and that's when small cracks form.
That's what makes it so dangerous. Most people feel nothing at all.
Yes, it's one of the great illusions of aging, that if something doesn't hurt, it must be fine. But stroke is often the result of the quiet damage that builds slowly, especially after 60, when the vessel walls begin to lose their elasticity.
I've seen patients with just slightly high numbers go years without treatment. Then one morning they wake up confused, dizzy, unable to speak clearly, and they never saw it coming.
That's the pattern. And it's not because they ignored the signs. It's because there were no signs. The damage isn't loud. It happens at night, during stress, during salty meals, or when medication lapses. That's why I ask my older patients to measure at home, it calmly, daily, the way they brush their teeth.
Even that simple step can change the future.
It can. And it's not just about medication. In Japan, seniors are taught to respect blood pressure the way you'd respect a flame. Not to fear it, but to tend to it. Warm teas, less salt, more potassium, a short walk after meals. These small rhythms add up.
I've always admired how Japan treats prevention as a lifestyle, not a chore. There's a quiet dignity to it, not racing to fix, but staying steady enough that nothing breaks.
Exactly. Stroke prevention isn't about doing something once. It's about keeping the river smooth every day. That's what protects the brain. And it starts with watching pressure the way you'd watch the sky before a storm. And now, let me tell you something few doctors mention. The next habit. The foods we eat, especially at dinner, either calm or agitate the brain's circulation. Most people eat for fullness, but after 60, we must learn to eat for flow.
That sounds powerful, and maybe a little surprising. I don't think most people see a connection between stroke risk and what's on their plate at night. What kinds of foods are we talking about here? And what exactly do they do inside the body?
It begins with how blood flows after a meal. Heavy, greasy foods make the blood sluggish. That slows circulation, and when blood moves slowly, the brain gets less oxygen.
That sounds like something we should all be taught much earlier in life.
Yes, but no one explains it that way. People eat for energy or taste, not for blood flow. But after 60, digestion becomes slower and the blood has to work harder to move through narrow vessels.
I've noticed that with patients who eat late or heavy dinners. They sleep poorly, feel foggy in the morning, and assume it's just age catching up.
That's right, but it's often the meal, not the years. In Japan, elders eat lighter at night. Warm broths, steamed vegetables, gentle flavors. This doesn't just help digestion. It supports steady circulation while the body rests.
That makes so much sense, and it's a shift people can make quickly without needing to overhaul their entire diet.
Exactly. It's not about restriction. It's about rhythm. A smaller, calmer dinner gives the heart and brain space to recover. And when that becomes a habit, stroke risk drops quietly, day by day.
Even the emotional side of that is powerful. Finishing the day with peace instead of pressure.
Yes. And there's another food mistake I see often. Some choices look healthy, but quietly inflame the vessels, especially when eaten alone or too early. I'll come back to those. But first, we need to talk about the third habit, daily movement. It's one of the most powerful ways to keep blood flowing and protect the brain.
That's something I don't think most people connect. We think of exercise for the heart, maybe for weight, but not as something that protects the brain from stroke. I'm really curious about this. What kind of movement actually helps, and how much is enough?
John, movement helps the blood remember where to go. It keeps the vessels soft and flexible, like streams that stay clean, because they never stop flowing. When we stop moving, the blood slows down, and that's when small clots begin to form.
That really paints a picture. It makes sense why stillness becomes dangerous with age.
Yes, and by movement, I don't mean exercise in the formal sense. I mean standing often, stretching, walking slowly after meals. In Japan, many elders begin their day with radiocalisthenics, small rhythmic motions done together, even in old age.
I love that image. There's something beautiful about shared routines that keep the body from going stiff without making it feel like a workout.
Exactly. Stroke prevention is not about pushing the body harder. It's about keeping it in motion. 10 minutes after each meal. A few minutes of balance practice in the garden. It's these little patterns that help the brain receive steady oxygen.
It also gives people a sense of purpose, not just surviving the day, but flowing through it.
Yes, I once treated a man in his 80s who told me he hadn't exercised in 20 years. But every day he cleaned his porch, walked to the store, and played with his grandchildren. No gym, no equipment, but perfect circulation. That's what I hope listeners will take away. Motion isn't extra. It's essential.
Even the simplicity of that feels reassuring.
It is. And now we must speak about something far more difficult. The fourth habit is avoiding the things that harden the vessels. These are the habits that make blood sticky, brittle, and ready to clot. They are common, accepted, even social. But they are far more dangerous than most people realize.
You're talking about tobacco, aren't you? And alcohol, too. I've had so many patients who believed a little couldn't hurt. But when it comes to stroke, I get the sense that even small amounts can carry real weight.
Yes, even small amounts can do harm. Not because they're poison in a single dose, but because they change the blood little by little. Tobacco thickens it. Alcohol inflames it. Over time, the vessels lose their strength and clots begin to form more easily.
That's the part so many people don't understand, how silent that damage really is.
Because the effects are slow. One cigarette, one drink, the body adjusts. But the blood changes, its ability to move, to heal, to carry oxygen. All of it starts to decline.
I've had patients proudly tell me they quit smoking years ago, and I always say, that's wonderful. But I also wonder what lingering risks might still remain inside the vessels.
It depends on how early they stopped. The younger the body, the more it recovers. But after 60, even one cigarette a day can keep the blood in a state of quiet tension. And alcohol? It's not just the liver. It can raise blood pressure overnight and weaken the tiny vessels that protect memory and balance.
And for seniors already managing other health issues, that stress adds up quickly.
Yes, a drink with dinner, a cigar after a meal. These habits may feel harmless, even comforting, but for the aging brain, they're a steady drip of pressure. I never ask my patients to be perfect, but I do ask them to choose what brings peace, not pressure.
That feels like the heart of this episode, replacing slow damage with slow healing.
Exactly. And now we reach the fifth habit, managing the conditions that often go unchecked. High blood sugar, irregular heartbeat, cholesterol that clogs the smallest arteries. These don't always show symptoms, but they quietly prepare the ground for stroke.
That's something I think about every time I check vitals in an older patient. They look fine, they feel fine, but inside there could be warning lights flashing, and they'd never know without a closer look. So how do we begin to take these silent conditions seriously, especially when they don't cause pain?
We begin by understanding that stroke often follows patterns we can measure. Atrial fibrillation, high blood sugar, and cholesterol. They don't just raise risk, they create the perfect storm for a clot to travel to the brain.
That's where I see the most frustration. Patients who feel fine, but then face a crisis they didn't see coming.
Yes, and it's not their fault. These conditions don't hurt. They whisper. That's why routine checkups after 60 are not optional. They are protection.
We need to help our patients see prevention as active, not passive.
Exactly. Managing blood sugar doesn't mean chasing a number. It means protecting the blood vessels from damage. Managing AFib isn't about medication alone. It's about keeping the rhythm of life steady.
I love that. Keeping the rhythm steady says it all.
Yes, because when those rhythms become chaotic, the blood moves in dangerous ways. And if cholesterol builds up at the same time, the brain's smallest vessels start to close. It's like shutting down exits during a fire. You don't always notice until it's too late. There's one tool most people already have, and it supports all three conditions we just discussed. It lowers blood sugar, it calms the heart, it softens blood pressure through the night. That tool is the sixth habit, better sleep. and most seniors still underestimate how powerful real rest can be.
That makes a lot of sense. I've seen sleep turn things around faster than any pill, but I also wonder how much damage builds from years of bad sleep. What does real protective sleep look like after 60?
Sleep is when the brain heals. It clears waste, restores vessel flexibility, and lowers pressure inside the skull. But poor sleep, light, interrupted, or too short, keeps the body in a low-grade state of stress. That tension makes the blood thicker and more prone to clot.
That really hits home. I've had so many older patients who sleep lightly for years and just assume it's normal.
And they start to believe restlessness is part of aging. But it's not. It's often a result of late meals, caffeine, or screen light at night. In Japan, we still value quiet bedtime rituals, warm baths, dim lights, silence before sleep.
There's something deeply healing about that kind of routine.
And it's not just habit, it's prevention. Quality sleep is one of the last natural defenses we have against brain inflammation and vascular decline. But even sleep can't protect us fully if something deeper is disrupting the system. The seventh habit is one many seniors overlook, because it often comes without symptoms at all.
That makes me nervous just hearing it. I've seen too many people who look fine on the outside, but something is brewing beneath the surface. What kind of hidden factor are we talking about? And how does it increase stroke risk without warning?
The seventh habit is managing hidden stress, not just the kind we feel, but the quiet tension that builds in the body, the kind that raises cortisol, stiffens arteries, and slows blood flow to the brain. This kind of stress doesn't come with a headline. It creeps in through isolation, regret, fear of the future.
That's the kind of pressure I hear from patients who say, "I'm fine," but their voice tells a different story. It's like their body has been holding its breath for years.
Yes, and when that breath stays held too long, the blood changes. It thickens. It moves with less ease, less softness. The vessels begin to wear down from the inside out.
It's one of the few risks you can't see on a scan, but you can hear it in a conversation.
Exactly. That's why I ask my older patients to talk, to walk, to write letters, to garden, whatever helps them release tension, gently, daily. Because if stress doesn't move out, it stays in the bloodstream.
That idea of stress living in the bloodstream really shifts how I think about it.
What clears it best is not escape, but connection. That brings us to the eighth and final habit, a habit more powerful than supplements or surgeries, one that costs nothing, but restores everything we risk losing.
That sounds like something we all need more of, no matter our age. What is it, and how does it help protect the brain from stroke?
Final habit is connection, being part of something, a friendship, a routine, a purpose, keeps the brain alive in ways no pill can. I've seen elders regain strength simply by feeling needed again.
Even a short visit, a phone call, a shared meal, it can change everything.
Yes. In Japan, elders often join community groups that meet for tea, stretching, or even neighborhood cleanups. These are not just hobbies, they're lifelines. Isolation shrinks the brain. Connection feeds it.
I've seen loneliness do more damage than high cholesterol, and the worst part is, it's invisible until it isn't.
That's why we must treat connection as medicine. Just as you wouldn't skip your heart pills, you shouldn't skip the people who make you laugh, the ones who know your name, the ones who expect to see you. When the heart feels seen, the blood flows better.
And when someone is missed, they know they matter. That alone has a healing effect.
Exactly. I've known patients who recovered from stroke faster because they had someone waiting for them, someone to walk with, someone to share miso soup with in the morning. The body listens closely when it knows it's not alone.
That might be the most important thing we've said today.
And that brings us to the quiet truth behind all these habits. None of them are about chasing youth. They are about preserving clarity, movement, and peace, so we can live with meaning until the very last breath.
It's not about adding years. It's about filling the years with purpose. I think a lot of people listening feel the same, but I imagine some still wonder if they've already had a stroke or if they've let some of these habits slide. Is it too late to start?
It's never too late. Even one better habit can change the brain's future.
That's all people need to hear. If you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up and start today. Oh, and watch this next video right now.
Yes, please.
We've picked this one especially for you.